Hi guys, welcome to Social Anxiety Inside Out session number 30. Can't believe it's been 30 episodes. It's just been I've learnt so much myself from doing this, and at the beginning, I had the help from Tony Fiedler, and was really grateful for that, and it was good to have someone to bounce off. And then, Tony left, and then I started doing hangouts with other guests, and then I started doing some on my own. So this is one of those times where I'm going to do a solo hangout. So it's probably not going to be as long as an hour, depending how many people ask questions, really. But I felt like I had some important insights to share. And I wanted to talk about moods a bit, because we all experience moods, and we don't know that we're experiencing moods. We think it's other people doing it to us and causing the moods, and events that happen in our lives that cause the moods, and it can really appear like that. But what I wanted to point to today was just my experience of going into these low mood states and really feeling the low, really feeling low, and not being able to see as clearly, and just feeling like the whole, my whole view of the world has changed, and things are totally different, in a negative way, and I found that fascinating, because that, when I reflect, that's happened very often, that I've been, I'd get inspired and act on inspiration and do all these things, and then I'd wake up one day and just not feel like doing anything, and I would kind of give in to that, not in a way of letting it go, but giving into it, as in getting caught up in it more, and it kind of felt like a fog, like I couldn't really see anything, and I couldn't see past it, but something deep down was pulling me through, and I knew that no matter no matter what I was experiencing in that low mood, I knew that I could see differently. I could see the whole, I could see my whole life differently at any moment. And that gave me hope that, this wouldn't last. And I seem to have these two-day moods every now and again now. Every now and again, and it seems like it would never end, but then there's something pulling me through that. And I just wanted to share that, I had that experience last week, because I did the hangout on the Monday, and felt really inspired after talking to Phil Goddard, and had a great coaching session with him, and I could see all the possibilities, and seeing things from a different perspective, and it was all great. And I woke up on the Tuesday, and I just dipped into this mood, and started having these habitual thoughts come up. It's really strange. It's like having old feelings that you've had before, that bring you back to a past, bring you back to the past where things weren't so great. So it feels like you're really there, just like in the same way if you listen to a song which reminds you of something from childhood. It's exactly the same as that, and the brain is so interesting the way that works. And on reflection of that, I see that what I would do before I understood the inside-out nature and the three principles, I would see that as slipping back, because I was recalling a memory and a feeling, even though I didn't see what the memory was clearly. I was recalling a feeling which felt like I was, say, 10 years ago, when I was really stuck and in a really bad state of mind quite a lot of the time. And then I'd have a judgment thought come in and say, oh, you're slipping back, you're failing. And none of that was there during this 2-day low mood that I had last Tuesday and Wednesday. And I had an insight that I started doing exercise on my exercise bike and doing push-ups, and I just felt inspired to work out even though I had a low mood. And it just occurred to me that we can often wait to feel great before we act on anything, and there's definitely something in it in regards to acting when you're inspired, and even though it's a little bit scary, that amazing things can come out of it. But I think what I have done a lot of the time when I'm in a low mood is not do anything and kind of stew in it and not move anything forward, and not I wasn't getting any work done really. I was just finding it hard. I was thinking about doing something, working on a particular project, and then just feeling massive doubt about starting that, and then thinking about doing something else, and just getting really caught up in my thoughts. And that naturally lifted. And the funny thing was, I didn't before that I didn't really feel like sharing it, because I knew that there wasn't really anything anything that had happened to cause the mood, or anything in my life had changed at all. It was just the way I was seeing my life. And something hit me when my friend Dave shared this with me. I said, I'll read out exactly what I said. I sent him a Facebook message just after I come out of the mood. While I'm looking for that, actually, I just wanted to share about they had the Three Principles concert on last week, and concert? Did I say concert? The Three Principles conference last weekend in London, and it was funny how my mood changed during that. I didn't go to that, but my thinking about not going to that changed when my mood changed. So 1 minute, I was feeling good, and I was thinking, it's the right decision for me not to go, because I wanted to spend time with my girlfriend and just have some space to kind of reflect and not. I just felt like I didn't want to spend that much money to go there this time. It just didn't feel right to go. And then when my mood dipped, I was like, all these thoughts started coming in, like, oh, you're missing out. I felt like the kid who was left out at school. And it felt so realistic. It was incredible just observing that. you know, I just imagine everyone else having a really great time, and I was just sat at home and, oh no, I've screwed up because I've missed out on this. And our moods are so amazing. They kind of are a compass to where we are really. And I think that when you're in a mood, when you're in a low mood, just kind of take your experience with a pinch of salt. You could get in arguments with people over silly things, and one person says something, then you argue back and all that. And I kind of catch myself doing that now more, just stepping back from it, because you get this urge that you want to argue and carry it on, but it's really not the best thing. And I've noticed that just stepping back from wanting to argue and kind of being in a reflective state of mind, new thinking usually drops into your consciousness, and you have a bit more empathy for the other person reacting out to you. So I'm just going to read out what Dave said. Okay, I wrote, funny how stuck I felt for over the past 2 days. It felt so real, solid, but I knew it would. I knew it would pass, and sure enough it did. And then Dave wrote back to me, I noticed a while back that I was becoming over-observant on stuck versus... Sorry, I'll read that again. I noticed a while back that I was being over-observant on either stuck, non-stuck, versus seeing that I'm 100% in the feeling of my thoughts. Funny how the inside can be made to look like the outside. I'm good, thanks. And then he did a winky smiley face. And that really struck me when he said that. As soon as he said that, I was thinking, oh my God, I had this low mood, and I was thinking that my whole world was crashing down. I was going through all these thoughts of, all these hangouts you've been doing are rubbish. You take on too many things, you're really overwhelmed with stuff. You might as well give up what you're doing, and just all this fog that was really stressing me out, and I couldn't see past it. And when Dave said what I just read out, it kind of struck me that nothing on the outside had changed in my life whatsoever. It was exactly the same. And the only difference was I was spending those days in a mood and not in a low mood, and just thinking that my whole world was coming down, like I said. And it's the thing with insights, really. I share that with you, and it might help some people, and you might get that. But I think when we have our own insights that make sense to us, it could be in the form of anything. Someone says something, and you really get that at a deeper level. And I'm just, sharing with a friend today that I'm kind of interested to see what happens the next time I have a low mood. Will I remember what I've seen in the insight, or will I disregard it and just be stuck in the mood again? I'm not sure, but I will share it with you what happens. There's one thing I do notice when I'm in a low mood, and this isn't just me, this is more universal than you think, that, for example, on the Monday I had a really great chat with Phil, I was inspired, and I was seeing all this stuff clearly, and these things that I had to do, that I felt inspired to do, and when I was in the low mood, I was looking at them in a totally different light and kind of judging myself for what I saw and dismissing it and all that kind of stuff. So I found that interesting as well. So I'm just going to see if there's any questions. If anyone else wanted to post a question to questions@socialanxietyinsideout.com. Okay, we've got a question here. Are my thoughts always reality, in quotes? Or is my perception of events, even if it's inaccurate, more important? It's a really great question. So let me read that again. Are my thoughts always reality, or is my perception of events, even if it's accurate, more important? Yeah, that really is a great question. So I guess I'll start off with the first part, because that's kind of two questions. Are my thoughts always reality? Well, I guess they are reality to us because they feel that way, even if it is inaccurate on the outside. And something that Steve Adair shared in when we did one of our events. I can't remember the percentage. You'll have to look this up if you're interested in it. In the psychotherapy work that he did, he was saying something like 20% of, I think he was quoting something else. So don't take my exact word for the figures, but it was along the lines of someone who's observing an event. Something happens, and someone's a witness to an event, and 20% of that is actual reality, and then 80% is kind of generalized on top of that from what they think they can remember. So I really found that interesting, that we see reality through our own filters. I kind of got that intellectually, but on a deeper level, you really see that when you're in a higher level of consciousness or awareness, that you can see your habits for what they are, and they don't have as much power over you. So the second kind of part of the question, or is my perception of events, even if it's inaccurate, more important? Yeah, it's a great point there. It kind of adds on to what I was saying about if you're an observer in something, how you perceive it, even if it's inaccurate. I don't really think it is more important, because it all depends, really. from kind of a three principles understanding, our experience is created through mind, thought, and consciousness, and when we go past the habitual thinking, which kind of clouds our judgment, I guess, to some extent, that we can see any kind of outcome from an event. When I say outcome, I mean how we perceive it. Like, there's a really great example in Jack Pransky's book, Somebody Should Have Told Us, I think it's called. Keep forgetting the name, but yeah, I think it is that. And he told a story in the book, and he said he was doing laps in a swimming pool, and just swimming along, and there was these two young girls swimming over the other side, kind of making noise and larking around, and then all of a sudden one of them bumps into him, and his reactionary thought that comes up is kind of negative, and it's like, I can't remember what he said, but you get the gist. We kind of have reactions to when events happen, and we perceive that as reality. Like, they hit into us, so I did that deliberately to annoy me. Okay, that's one way of thinking about it, and then he goes on. He kind of reflected from that, and he kind of went up a scale of what it could be, and it kind of moved from they did it deliberately to they were kind of having fun and they didn't notice, and then it kind of went up to kind of empathy for them. It wasn't even about them, and I feel like I want to read it from the book now, but it'll take me a while to find it. But if you do read the book, you can read that bit. And the thing is, none of those perceptions are true reality, but that's okay, because you kind of get to choose which one feels right. And I know that can sound like, oh, you don't really have a choice, and I wanted to add on that Jack wasn't using a technique to mentally reframe what happened. He was kind of, from my understanding, kind of letting go of what was going on in regards to the reactionary thought that come up, that they were doing it deliberately to him. And and when I say pick and choose what you're thinking, I guess it's not like something you can just decide to switch a thought or replace it with something different. I guess it's all in the level of consciousness, and if you go swimming in a really low mood, you might hold on to the thought that that they're doing it to you deliberately. They're knocking into me to annoy me, and then you go swimming and you're in a really great mood. You could be swimming along and they do that, and you're kind of thinking, oh, they're having fun. So that's really the power of it. The way I see moods, level of consciousness, up and down a scale, and that changes all the time. And when you get a glimpse of that, it's really useful because you don't get so jerked around by your thinking so much. You have a different level of awareness or relationship to your thinking. And I love what Linda Pransky said when I recently went on a training where she was at. She said, I think I quoted it before, she said, my thoughts, what was it? Yes, I still have my thinking, but my thinking doesn't have me. So it's like, what she means by that, she still has moods, she still feels crappy, but it's not like the crappy mood has hold of her like it might have done when she was younger before coming across the principles. So I hope that helps anyway. I'll just check if there's any more questions. How can I get my mind off negative ant-like thinking? So ant means automatic negative thoughts, I believe. Yes, a really great question. That is really great question. So I guess I kind of the thing that's coming to mind is the kind of outside-in way of looking at things in regards to doing something to feel better. And I don't mean that's bad or anything. It's just most people. I don't want to say most people, but a lot of people who would reply to that question would kind of say, go and get out of the house, do something like exercise or go shopping or do something constructive, speak to a friend, so you can get your mind off the negative thinking. And I think those kind of things are great tips, because if you're not thinking about negative things and you're not getting carried away with your thinking, when I say, I don't even want to say it's a good thing, because once you don't take your thoughts as seriously anyway, they're not as bad as they would have been before. But I guess if it occurs to you to do one of these things, then do it. But the best thing I would say is to slow down, and the more aware you become, the more attuned you'll become to yourself, and you'll be able to notice when you're getting wound up or you're really stuck in your thinking. And sometimes it just occurs to me to close my eyes for 2 minutes, and it kind of lets the dust settle and your automatic negative thinking, as you said, it settles down, and there's space for new thoughts to come in, and your mood will lift. And I guess that I'm kind of trying to reflect it with how I was feeling on those bad days. I say bad days, the days where I was in the low mood for longer periods, and if I was the person asking that question when I was feeling like that, I guess it would occur to me to speak with someone, but not in a way that kind of reinforces it. Because one thing I know for sure is, you know, people say, you know, get it off your chest and have a good old moan and all that, but I think you're kind of bringing it all back to life by complaining about something. And it's definitely, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to moan and share, because I think it is good to talk about stuff, but I guess I'm just thinking that when I am in a low mood, I don't really want to speak to people sometimes, and when I'm like that, I do get the urge to go for a walk, and it seems that when I don't listen to that, I get caught up more. So I think, oh, I don't, you know, I think to myself that going for a walk's not going to help, and then I get stuck in it. But definitely, what I do, I definitely share. Um, I think what would be useful for me and maybe for other people if I share on video when I'm feeling in a low mood, and I can share my experience. Um, and I just want to check if there's any questions. There's no more questions, but I just wanted to share. Just wanted to share a quick story before I finish up. It's you know, it's not it's just one of those things that happens in life. Just something that in the past I could have really thought it was the other person causing me grief, and you know, I was meeting one of my old friends at the weekend, and I booked a restaurant for the Sunday, and then he said to cancel it because there was the Arsenal football team parade was on, so he was saying it was too busy, and then, you know, I had a lot of thinking around that about, you know, it would have been fine, and why doesn't he want to listen to me? And I want you to understand that all of that is from my habitual thinking, like not being listened to, you know, not good enough, all that kind of rubbish that I took on in the past. And then after that, you know, we were looking for a new place to eat, and then me and my friend's brother were texting each other trying to look for a restaurant, and then I found myself getting really stressed out. I was looking online frantically looking for a place, and I felt my mood dropping. I was just like, I really need to find somewhere. And then I found somewhere, and then after that, you know, I sent them the message that I found this place, and then I get this message a couple of minutes later saying, "Oh, we've decided a place. Come here at this time." I've just had all this thinking about that. I was like, "Oh my god, this is so annoying. I'm gonna have to drive into central London. Where am I gonna park?" you know, I was thinking that he was wasting my time because I spent an hour and a half looking at venues. And I can't stress enough how much that wasn't him. I really can't stress that enough, because when we're in a low mood, we think that everyone else is doing it to us and everyone else is an arse. And then, I was sat in the kitchen really wound up, and I was even thinking to myself, shall I not go? I think I'll cancel because I'm really annoyed at him. And again, I want to stress that it wasn't him at all, it was my mood. And I kind of sat back for a bit and had this insight that, there weren't any words as such. It was just more of a feeling of, just step back from this, Steve, and calm yourself down and just go and meet him, and just see what happens. And then I started to see what I was doing to myself, and I also want to stress that I was actually doing it to myself. And when people would say that to me before, I'd be like, why do I want to do that to myself, or why do I want to make myself suffer? And it's not like you intentionally do it, you don't choose to do it, it's just you getting caught up in your thinking, and thinking that your thinking is more real than it is, and thinking that the other person's doing something to you to make you feel that way. And yeah, we met up, and that was that. And I'm so glad we did meet up, because he lives quite far away, and we don't see each other that often. And I had all sorts of thinking when we were actually having dinner, because there was people there that I didn't know. I remember being there, I'm just reflecting on how I was feeling there, and I was thinking to myself when I was there that I didn't have anything in my mind. Why was I feeling anxious? I don't think it was, well, it kind of was anxiety, but I was feeling overwhelmed by, well, again, I wasn't feeling overwhelmed by the surroundings, but I was just getting caught up in my thinking about that it was too loud. And I just get a sense that, it's okay if you don't like going to loud places, all that kind of stuff. That's fine. You can choose what you want to do, really. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I was caught up in my own head rather than being with the other people. And on reflection, it would have been nice to ask other people more questions, to get myself, again, not to get myself out of it, but just insights in regards to I don't know, reaching out a bit more, I suppose. So I kept having thinking around no one wanting to talk to me, because they were kind of talking, and me and my girlfriend were on the side, and I felt those old feelings of being left out and all that. But then, some moments I kind of let my guard down, and there was a bit of laughter, and my whole view of the situation was different. So it does change all the time. So I guess what I want to end tonight's hangout on is, just kind of be aware when you're in lower moods, and And I know some people have been in low moods for a while and it feels like the default kind of setting, and I was like that for a long time. And all I'd say is try and step back from what's going around in your mind, because there's stuff that is just going round, and just try and settle yourself down a little bit. And try and love the old snow globe analogy again. When the snow globe's shaken up, you can't really see clearly because it's all, snow's all over the place, and the best thing to settle that down is to put it down and leave it. And just try it for a minute, or whatever, just kind of sit there and kind of see what's going on in your mind, what pops up in your mind. And what happens when I do that, there's sometimes something pops up which I've forgotten to do, or something pops up, something I'm worrying about, or all sorts of things. But just know that underneath all of that, there's the mind part, the universal mind part of the three principles, which is the energy behind life. It's there's a lot more potential in you than you habitually think, and I'm saying that to anyone who's watching this, and that's including myself. I still, I can't imagine what potential I have, but then I do get glimpses of it, so I know it's true, and it's true for anyone that there is that. I worry about calling it infinite potential. Well, I don't. I did just then because it felt a bit silly to say that, but it is really, because we can think anything, and I'm learning more and more. When you act on good thoughts, and you're going back to the good and bad side of thing, more of a nice feeling, a good feeling, and when you act on that, although it might be scary, good things generally happen. And the same with negative moods. You lash out at someone when you're in a bad mood, or you break something, or you do something silly, and you have the negative consequences of that, and that could be at any level, just something absent-minded you've done. But we really can experience any thought that's we can experience any thought, and like one day I'm thinking everything I'm doing is complete rubbish, and then another day I'll just be talking to someone, and then I have insights into what's possible in my life. And none of those two are real. They're just projections of our I guess our consciousness bringing our thoughts to life. And those two are equally as true or not true as each other. And we often tend to really believe the negative and kind of dismiss the positive a bit more. But I just want to say that act on inspired thoughts. You can't go wrong, and you'll know when it's inspired thoughts. It'll feel good to do the thing. Like for me, setting up these hangouts. So yeah, thank you so much for listening, and we're going to have 2 weeks off for going on holiday next week, and then Monday the 2nd of June is my birthday. So I expect lots of presents from you guys. And yeah, so in the meantime, if there are any questions or comments, please post them through. I won't be able to reply next week, but anything this week, that'll be great to hear from you. And also, we have our Beyond Anxiety Udemy course, which is in the finishing stages. So I will post a link below so you can register for that. And what Tony Fiedler and I have done with that is looked at kind of topics related to self-esteem, anxiety, etc., and we created different modules around that, and you can follow them through this course. And yeah, Udemy is really great because you can view it on any platform, and it's really nicely laid out and everything, so you can have it on your phone and download it, so you can listen to it offline and all that. So yeah, keep an eye out for the link, and I hope you get a lot from that. So thank you once again, and I will speak to you in a couple of weeks, and we're going to have another guest come in, and not sure who that is yet, but there's a couple in the pipeline. So I will see you then on Monday the what was the date then? Monday the 9th of June. So I will see you then. Thank you very much.